Sometimes when I'm watching people problem solving something in their garage on YouTube, I find myself talking to the person in the video, even though I know they can't hear me, and telling them, I know the answer to the problem that you're trying to solve. And I hang on until I finally get to see that person figure it out for themselves. I'm going to share with you a recent troubleshooting experience that I went through and how I felt like such a fool at the end of it when I finally figured out the problem. I'm told many times over that on the weekends, whenever I'm doing stuff, I should have a GoPro on my head. And once again, I didn't have it. I do feel like the experience that I had here, though, is worthwhile of sharing so that you can have a bit of a laugh at me. I've had a bit of a laugh at myself over this. I'd be really interested if you are finding yourself talking to me and telling me the answer to my problem. I'd love for you to put a comment there that says, at this particular time in your video, I had figured out what you didn't figure out. The truth is, this problem has been haunting me for a very long time. Basically, every time it's cropped up, I've said I'm going to solve this problem, and I've ended up putting it on the back burner because I was too busy. And what I have here is one of my power supplies from school and school holidays. I decided to bring it home and finally resolve what do I need to do to actually get some power out of this thing. As you can see, I've got an output here of 1.9 volts, and if I wind that knob, you can see there I can wind the voltage all the way up to 30 volts. Initially trying to use this was just doing some low voltage demonstration in class, getting an LED like this one and connecting it up to the leads. Lo and behold, the LED is not lighting up. What's going on? So I start to fiddle with buttons. It's got a switch here that you can switch between constant current and constant voltage. You've got these buttons where you can adjust the current, but nothing seems to happen. I was getting very frustrated with this. And of course, the first time I tried to do this in the classroom, under the pressure of the moment, just relented and found a different way to do my activity, putting the power supply to the side to be troubleshoot later. I did go looking for a manual for this power supply, a model 3807. I could find manuals for similar PowerTech power supplies, but I couldn't find anywhere a PDF manual of the MP3087 power supply. If you're watching this and you happen to have a PDF copy of the manual for this power supply, email me gbhobbytech@gmail.com. My next thought was perhaps the unit needs a bit more load. I couldn't understand why it might, but my troubleshooting thinking was that perhaps this single LED doesn't draw enough current to activate a circuit inside or whatever. I don't know what I was thinking. Of course, I tried both banks of the power supply in case one bank is not working and one is. I tried putting the negative lead into the ground as well as the negative on the power supply. None of this seemed to get me anywhere. For whatever reason, I come to the conclusion that maybe I'm just not giving it enough load. So I got myself an old remote control car DC motor. I'll connect this up. So should be able to put, 7.4 volts into it and have the motor run. Still nothing. Pressing the current buttons. Look, you can see here I've got 7.5 volts. I just have no current. So it doesn't matter if I go from one side to the other. I know this motor worked. It was working when I took it out. My mind is boggling. By this point in time, I've been on this for about 40 minutes, trying different things, pressing these buttons, trying to get the current to come up, pressing the CC and then moving that adjustment knob. I'm just not getting any output of current. It's like it's not activating. It says there's 7 volts there, but it's not activating any current. With zero current, you can't make anything happen. I'm getting very frustrated and I'm feeling crazy. I decided to phone a friend. If you're watching this, Carlos, a shout out to you. Thank you for your help in troubleshooting this. With Carlos, we went through everything I did before. We also had a look at a couple of other things. So another thing to note is that there is a little plastic cap here. Down the bottom there, we have another bus bar of negative and positive so that you can wire up several things and use screw connectors to make it happen. One of the next things to check is, can I get any joy by going to the bus bar? No, nothing's happening. I'm even thinking, well, if I want to put a lot of load on it, I can short circuit the thing. That'll put a lot of load on it. That'll put its maximum, and I should hear some clicking and all that sort of stuff happening. See some sparks when I touch them together. Nothing. It was driving me absolutely mad. Carlos says to me, Anthony, did you put a multimeter on it? You would think in 45 minutes of troubleshooting, I would have thought, put a multimeter on. Did I do it? No. So I got my auto ranging multimeter. I've got some jumper type connectors on it. Connect my multimeter. Check it out. 100 millivolts. I can wind this up, get to 14. Nothing is happening to the reading here. I'm just dealing with some sort of noise there, but there is no voltage there. So Carlos said to me, why don't you try on the bus here? Okay, no problems. Took it out, put it here. I'm having a look at the meter. I'm still showing nothing. Can put it on ground. I can put on the negative. The result is still exactly the same. We talked about the motor a little bit, Carlos and I, and he said, probably it's too much current. So have you got a globe? That's a good idea, I said. Let me get a globe. It's a 12 volt turn signal or brake light globe. I don't know, something like that. It's a 15 watt, 12 volt globe. So if I put that up to 12 volts, it should be drawing something like 1.2 amps. He said, try that. So away we go. Nothing. Can you test the globe? Good idea. If you're shouting at me, you know what the solution is. Put a comment there and tell me, Anthony, I knew what was wrong. 2 minutes into your video, I knew what was wrong. The light globe works. It's not the bulb. What else? Maybe the output on the banana plugs here is broken. So I chucked those to the side. I get my multimeter and I connect up. Red to positive, minus to negative. I literally was doubting my multimeter by this stage. Lo and behold, look at this. I connected up to that little mini bus bar there, and I've got a reading here of 12 volts and a reading here of 11.98 volts. That looks promising. I can wind the voltage up. There's definitely some sort of voltage coming off that bus bar, but why can't I connect anything up to it? What is going on here? The next thing I thought is, what if I just put my motor onto the output? What? The motor started spinning. Just for a minute, the voltage went to 0. The current went up to 3 amps. This actually looks promising. It's drawing a lot more amps than the unit can put out. We go back to the light globe. If the motor's going to work, the light globe must work. These banana plug connections are shot. So we go back to the light bulb. It should work. Nothing. What's going on here? What if I try connecting one lead and then putting the other end of the circuit onto the minus? Whoa, it just worked. What's wrong? It's the wire. Can you imagine the cursing that was coming out of my head right now when I finally realized that for all of this time, the fault was with the wire. Can we prove that? Put the continuity buzzer on and let's test the wire. Okay, the red wire is working. There it is. That black wire has no continuity. This whole time, I've been troubleshooting a power supply. I've been thinking I've got a dud. I've been going through all of this. At the end of all that, I should have tried different wires. This wire had caused all of my grief. And throughout my entire troubleshooting process, I had failed to even consider it as something that needed testing. I told you you'd be able to laugh at me. What timestamp did you realise my problem was with the wire and not with the power supply? Thanks for watching. See you later.